Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide. Hey, preschool peeps.
Hi, peeps.
The title you may have noticed of today's episode is One Positive Childhood Experience.
Just one.
You know, we ordinarily hear a lot about adverse childhood experiences, otherwise known as ACEs. And there's a lot of information, if you want to look it up, there's a lot of information out in the world about these adverse childhood experiences that have a negative effect on children for their whole lives. There's also a list that gets much less airtime
Yes.
of positive childhood experiences that positively impact the child into adulthood. We are highlighting one today on the podcast that we thought was very important to talk to you all about. And then the others, there are 7 in all on a document that I got from the Child and Adolescent Health Measurement Initiative. They have identified 7 positive childhood experiences. So to learn about the other 6, you can be one of our patrons on Patreon for just $5 a month. That's going to be bonus content. So I know our patrons right now are going, okay, cool.
Yay, cool. Yeah.
Right, cool, because they're in there helping to support this work. And we will talk on the others on there. The one we wanted to highlight here for everyone is that a positive childhood experience that helps to reduce mental health risks in the future for the children is having at least 2 non-parent adults who take genuine interest in the child.
Yeah. See, that's amazing. Right? Because it seems so simple, right? Like 2 non-parents. Okay. Yeah. But I feel like there's actually a lot of children that don't have this. They have their parents and they have their grandparents and they have, all these family members, but they don't necessarily have people outside of that, and I don't think we realize how often that could occur, and it seems like a simple thing, but it's not always so simple for a lot of families.
And I think when they talk about parents, when they say non-parent adult, I think that probably they mean whoever is raising the children, parent, guardian, grandparent, aunt, uncle, right?
Yeah.
They're being raised by you. You are their primary person. And then the child needs at least 2 other adults outside of their immediate, I live with you and you're a raising me world, to show a genuine interest in them, which is so much more than we're going to say hello to you in the morning when you walk in a classroom. It's so much more than that to show a genuine interest in someone.
Yeah, like because I think teachers are one of those non-parent people that they are talking about, but not all teachers have relationships with every single student that's in their class, and they should, but they don't.
If you're in an early childhood setting and you have a teacher and a co-teacher, 2 co-teachers, you have a teacher and a paraprofessional or a teacher assistant in the room. That's 2 adults in the room that if they have a genuine interest in the child and show it and express that all the time, could help to mitigate mental health issues for that child in the future. I think that's enormous.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
If you are not a professional, this is still something that you can take on and think about. Your child interacts with other children. Maybe some of those children meet you for a play date at a playground or come to your home. If you show genuine interest in that child as a separate human being who has their own interests and abilities and likes and dislikes, and you show an interest in that and the experiences they've had, you're actually helping their future mental health. So if you welcome children, right, to the play group on the playground or in your home or wherever, to actually have a genuine conversation with them about them, can have such a positive impact.
Well, yeah, because think about like the people that we are now adults and we remember from our childhood are always those people that, and maybe they didn't really stay in your life for a very long time, but they had a lasting impact where you could be like, wow, I remember like going to that person's mom's house or whatever, and that mom really took an interest, or she let me do this, or she asked me how my day was, or she was interested in the things that I was interested in. And next year, you might not even be in the same class as that child. So you'll never see that mama ever again. But as an adult, I remember those experiences and be like, oh, and you think fondly of it. And you're like, it makes a lasting, long impression on people to be positive in your life, and
yeah. And to get to know you as a person.
Yes.
It's more than, hey, welcome. Would you like something to eat? And it's more than welcome to school today. Come on, let's put your coat away and this is showing a genuine interest in the child, which means you have to get to know the things the child enjoys, the things the child's interested in, the experiences the child has had, so that you can speak to those. When you think on an adult level, how do I show a genuine interest in you? What do we do when we have people in our lives who we want to show a genuine interest in? We ask questions about their life.
Yeah.
Right.
Think about how you go to a party and you want to get to know people. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
We get to know them by asking questions, and then you remember the answers to those questions so that you could build a conversation next time. Yeah.
I had lunch today with a colleague, and she remembered a professional engagement that I had that meant a lot to me. And when we got, the first thing she said to me after we said hello was, did you go and do that thing that you told me about last? She remembered it. She ticked it away in her brain as something she was going to ask me about in the future.
Yeah.
And that shows a genuine interest in me. For young children, if they tell you something about, they go to dance, they play soccer, they like to go to the library for story time, to bring these things up, to remember them, to take notes about them, to bring these things up in the future shows a genuine interest in them. The child who says something about, I'm going to the library with mommy today. Yeah. For me, even days later, to say, how was the library when you went with mommy? Did you get any good books?
Yeah. Plus, it's like, what a great learning experience for that child to remember what they learned at the library and then recap it for you. You know what I mean? Like instead of just being like, oh, whatever, I remember that he went to the library, but I'm not going to ask him. I don't care. You're actually like forming these conversations, and then they get to remember it and recall it and make connections to other things. And like, that's such a great learning experience, even just having a conversation about something they like, this back and forth exchange, like I always would try to figure out what the kids liked to talk about or even just do outside of school, because I always found like if they were really upset, it was an easy in for me to get them to talk, but it's so much more than that. It's that maybe years from now, they'll be like, man, that Miss Allison, she used to talk to me about football every Monday. Like, and like, it's something like years from now, they might be adults and be like, man, I had the best teacher. I had the best coach. They always took an interest in me. It's just like stuff that it's so simple too, to just remember what they are interested in, remember what they're doing, listen to them when they talk, and go back on it and keep asking them questions or talking to them about it. It's so easy. So easy.
Our preschool peeps may recall that I mentioned when we were talking about challenging behaviors in a prior episode, I mentioned a technique called banking time that is used to develop relationships with young children so that we can make an investment in our relationship and then withdraw from that investment when they are feeling challenged, when their behavior is a little challenging, we can withdraw and take advantage of the relationship we've established with them. When you bank time with children, just to very quickly recap, you set one-on-one meetings with the children. They get to decide what they're doing, and the adults pick a theme for that meeting. There were 4 themes we talked about in that episode. One of the themes was, I am interested in you. Yeah. So when we sit with the children for that 10 minutes, which is like their attention span, and we're going to talk with them at that meeting, if we're going on the theme, I am interested in you, we would talk about things like the things we know they like and the things we know they've done and their families and what's happening at home and that sort of thing. Yeah. we talked about it in that episode in the context of this is a relationship builder.
Yeah.
In addition to that, this helps them to develop in a way that promotes future mental health, which is even bigger than my relationship with them in the moment that year.
Yes. Yes. And something that you are not necessarily going to even know impacted them. Like for me, like the children that I'm teaching now, yeah, I have relationships with them, but those positive childhood experiences are giving them the mental health that they need, but I'm not even going to know that happened. I just have to do it knowing that the faith is there, that like all the experiences that I'm giving them, all the attention and interest I am showing them is going to impact them well into their adulthood and not see it. You know, it's almost like this blind faith of like, I have to do it because I know it's right and it might help them one day. You know, I know it's going to help them one day. And you have to just be like, okay, I'm not going to know them when they're 25 years old, 35 years old, 55 years old. I'm not going to know them, but I know that maybe at 55 years old, they're going to look back and be like, wow, like that really helped me. Or they might not even remember it, but it's going to impact them anyway.
It doesn't even matter if they remember. You know, in the early childhood years, they don't really remember. They think we think as we grow up that memories that we have are things we remember, when actually it's things people may have told us. Our earliest memories, because of how working memory works, our earliest true memories are somewhere around 8 or so years old.
Yeah,
somewhere around there, like third grade-ish.
Yeah.
So if they are under the age of 5, they may not remember. We have like these tiny little snippets of memory from before then, but it's still something they're going to carry with them through their whole lives if we do it. If we could just be in the moment enough and present enough to really hear them, listen to what they're talking about, ask them questions about their lives, try to find things out. I think it's also a really great idea to let families know that we know, based on current research, that when children have positive childhood experiences, it helps to lay a foundation for their future. And so we are intentionally going to try and show your children that we have a genuine interest in them. Please provide us with information about their places you may go over the course of the school year, things that they show new interest in, new people they meet. It can't just be a questionnaire at intake time when they join your program, or even at the beginning of every school year, because children change so much over the months of a school year, and they have all sorts of new experiences all the time. So we want to consistently be in touch with families saying, what new has happened that I could talk to your child about? And I feel like it's the flip side of parents always saying to professionals, you don't give me enough information about what to talk to my child about when they come home. Teachers hear this a lot. Directors hear this a lot. Like, I want more information, because when my child comes home from the early childhood program and I say, what'd you do today? They either say nothing or we played, right? Or we played. And families feel like they don't have enough details to ask their children meaningful questions. So I'm going to put this on you if you're listening and you're someone who's raising a young child. Same goes for the teachers and teacher assistants and directors and whoever you encounter in the child's early childhood program. They also don't have enough information necessarily to show the sort of interest in your children based on their lives outside our 4 walls in early childhood. I need to know what's going on outside the 4 walls so that I can have conversations that say to the child, I am so interested in you.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it supports their feelings of self-worth and importance, because we're so interested that I will sit and talk to you about something that I heard you did last week.
Yeah, it shows how they are valued. You know, like, I value my experience and my conversations with you. I'm interested in what you want to do, and I believe in you. And it's so many things. It's just we want to fill their lives with these positive experiences so that they believe in themselves as much as you believe in them. You know, that they are worth it.
interestingly, in the document from the Child and Adolescent Health Measurement Initiative, there are 2 words that are highlighted when they talk about the 7 positive childhood experiences. It says research shows that when PCEs are actively promoted during early childhood, adult mental health risks are significantly reduced. Actively promoted or highlighted. It's not a happenstance, which happens a lot. I'll hear a child say something about having gone to the zoo, and I will immediately turn to that child and say, wow, did you like the zoo? And then I never bring it up again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It needs to be actively promoted. Sometimes I will happen to hear something and then include it in future conversations. Sometimes I don't, and it's more unintentional in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm going to take a drink of water. Oh my goodness. So that's how you know we're human people. We're real people.
We're real people. Yeah.
Yeah. It has to be actively done and intentionally, and it has to be given thought, just like everything else we do with the children. Mm-hmm. Not just happen to hear that.
Yeah.
It has to be a true interest, and we have to ask multiple questions, give them multiple opportunities to express it. Even say to a child, let's say you knew that a child loved a particular TV show. That child loved Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. I'm just picking that one because I love that show for young children. So Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, if you've never recommended it to families, please do. So let's say you know that the child loves that show. Mm-hmm. And we talk about it a little bit. And then several weeks later, to randomly turn to the child and say, do you still watch Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood? What have you seen on it? Yeah. To bring it up again can make a human feel so seen.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, wow, she remembered something we talked about 6 months ago. That's amazing.
Right. Right. I hope that after this episode, I hope that right now you're all thinking about, okay, I have to be more intentional in taking a genuine interest in the children, because I could be one of the only 2 people who do.
Right.
And it takes at least 2 people to do this to make a difference.
Right.
And I want to emphasize at least. So let's say there's 2 adults in your early childhood setting and you decide, I'm going to do this more intentionally now that I've heard Cindy and Alison talk about it. Yeah. We have to hope there's actually more people than that in the outside doing it. If you are a family member and you think, I'm going to show more interest in my child's classmates, playmates, I'm going to do that because it can make a difference for the child. Again, the hope is that there are other people, like maybe people from their early childhood setting and others, the person at the library who does story time, the person who does their dance lessons. Maybe there are others showing a genuine interest. I really wish that, or hope, it's a hope. I hope that people like coaches and dance instructors and all have found us and listened to us a bit for some advice, because it's important for them to do this sort of thing too. Yeah. We get a lot of feedback from families and early childhood professionals. I don't think we've gotten a lot of feedback from people like their coaches, the librarian who does early childhood story time, that sort of thing. Preschool peeps, please recommend this podcast to those people, because they can also help to lay a foundation, a good foundation for your child's future. And so much of what we talk about applies to every setting your children go into.
Yes.
So please do recommend it. And think about how you can intentionally plan. How can I keep track of what I know about these children? And how can I intentionally plan? I've mentioned many times that I teach college courses online. In the opening discussion posts that they are required to make, they will often write things. They're asked to write things about where they live and their families. And, they'll often write things about what inspired them to go into this field, or, what's happening in their lives. Like, I'm excited to take this class. I'm a little nervous because XYZ is happening in my life. Right. I have a spreadsheet. And sometimes I will take little notes based on what they wrote. And then in the future, let's say they submit something late and I can write to them. I know that you were struggling. I hope your son is better.
Yeah, see?
I
Making
didn't deduct late
connections.
points.
Yeah.
Right? And this is online. These children are
And
right in front of you.
Yeah, yeah. And that's with like adults that you're working with. You know, like,
Yes.
right? So like making relationships with adults, it goes a long way. It goes a long way because we're human beings, you know, and we
Yes.
should be relating and connecting to people. Adult to adult and adult to child and child to child. Like it, that we're human beings. And I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in our own stuff because we all have our own stuff that we forget, you know, oh, they might have their own stuff going on too, you know, and I don't have time. Like but I feel like even when I'm going through my stuff, if I make time for other people's stuff, it makes me feel better. It makes me
But I
handle my
think
stuff
we
better.
but we intentionally make time to remember, oh, this person was
Yes.
sick, or this
Yes.
person had a death in their family, or this person has this going. We intentionally sometimes remember the things that are more challenging for people.
Yes.
But we don't necessarily to put the same sort of brain work or action into remembering the good things and into remembering the positive experiences and what interests the people.
Yeah.
Even to look at a child who's told you all about their trip to the aquarium and how awesome it was to see the penguins and how wonderful this was, and you talked all about it. Weeks later, to look at this child and say, you know, I was thinking about you and when you saw the penguins.
Yeah.
And just bring it up again.
Yeah.
You know, do you still like penguins? Do you remember seeing them? To continually bring these positive things up can be very helpful to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
My life is all about the spreadsheet. Spreadsheets, folks, take notes, try to remember, jot things down. Don't depend on your memory. Your memory isn't as good as we give it credit for being. No, none of ours are. Because you know you're going to stand in the middle of that room several weeks later saying, wait, which one of them went to the aquarium? Was that this child?
Yeah. Yeah.
Little notes, tiny little Post-it notes to just jar your memory can be so wonderful and helpful.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage you to encourage people to listen to us who are not necessarily called teacher assistant, director, principal, instructional coach. Get those people who are working with your children in other realms.
Yes.
We do want to remind you, because we are going to talk more about positive childhood experiences, how to find us on Patreon. It's patreon.com/how preschool teachers do it. You can also find the connection to Patreon on our website, howpreschoolteachersdoit.com. Again, it's $5 a month to get this bonus content. So we hope you'll think about doing that. Give yourself a belated holiday gift if you celebrate the holidays. Yes. And if not, if you're someone who doesn't celebrate the December holidays, give yourself a gift anyway, because you deserve it.
Because you deserve it. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And you know who else deserves it? The people who have reached into our top ratings, one of which was super surprising. So I hope people are staying on and listening. Surprising in the best possible way, because it's something we did not foresee at all. And that's people in Malawi, which is in Africa.
Yeah.
And so there are, right, people in Malawi listening to us. If you are there, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Spread the word. Spread the word. Also, in the United States, a state that we've mentioned in the past, but we'll name the particular city, Charlotte, North Carolina. Thank you so much for being at the tops of our ratings.
Yes. Hi, folks in Charlotte.
We appreciate you, and we're glad you're listening, and tell all the other people in North Carolina to do the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We will catch you next week on the podcast. And we will see our patrons on Patreon. But for all of you, we hope that you all have a wonderful start to this new year, and that it brings us all good things and positive experiences.
Yes. Way to tie it all together, Cindy.
Yeah, I'm kind of proud of that. Thanks.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Right? We'll catch you next time, preschool peeps.
Bye, peeps.